He told the real estate agent I'd be out soon. Funny, I don't remember packing. I do remember teaching him to plant corn when he was 9. I remember pulling the first calf at 2 a.m. in a freezing barn. But apparently, those memories don't count for much once your signature's not on the deed. There's a softness to this land in the early morning. It smells like damp soil, old wood, and work. The kind of work that doesn't clock out. I've lived on this farm for 43 years. My husband and I built it from loans and elbow grease, one stubborn acre at a time. We raised David here, our only child. I nursed him through ear infections, packed his lunches in second-hand bags, and stayed up past midnight hemming his debate suits by hand. When Harold passed, David said, "Don't worry, Mom. This land's always yours." He hugged me like he meant it. I believed him. The years went quiet after that. I kept the chickens, fixed fences, managed bills. David came back to visit some weekends, always with grand ideas. "Vertical farming," he said once. Another time, eco-retreats for urban wellness junkies. I'd smile, pour him coffee, and wash the dirt from his boots like I used to when he was little. I didn't ask for much, just a roof over my head and my place in the soil. I didn't need thanks. I just thought, maybe when you give someone your whole life, they don't forget it. But lately, I noticed little shifts. David started helping with paperwork. Told me he'd move things to digital. For simplicity. He got too busy to return calls, too busy to eat the pies I still baked from scratch. Then one morning, I saw him in the field with a stranger in a pressed shirt and city shoes. The man pointed, nodded, took notes. I stood behind the curtain, still holding a wet dish rag, and watched my son gesture toward the farmhouse. He said, "Yeah, my mother's still in the guest house, but she'll be out soon." Out, like I was some tenant who'd overstayed a lease. I didn't say a word. Not then. But the land beneath me shifted, and I felt it. Something deeper than betrayal. A quiet root breaking loose. Have you ever heard your own child talk about your life like you're already gone? If something like that ever happened to you, tell me in the comments. I'll read every word. That night, I couldn't sleep. The sheets felt too clean, the air too still. My house, my home, had a weight to it, like it knew something I didn't. I replayed David's words in my head. She'll be out soon. Like I wasn't still there. Like I hadn't hand-stitched the curtains in that living room or planted the lilacs by the fence. The next morning, I tried to pretend nothing had changed. I made oatmeal with brown sugar, fed the chickens, sorted laundry. But something small had cracked open inside me, and it started leaking. By midweek, I noticed my cedar chest was missing from the hallway. "Decluttering," David said casually, like he'd done me a favor. "I had a guy pick it up. Those old trunks hold too much dust." That chest held Harold's army medals, my wedding veil, David's baby quilt, and just like that, it was gone. I stood on the porch that evening, watching the sun drop behind the corn rows, and heard David's voice behind me. "We're just trying to get ahead of things, Mom. You've said it yourself. This place is too much." No. I said the barn roof needed repairs. I said I was tired, not done. But to him, those words were a green light. Permission to plan my exit. He poured me a glass of wine that night, handed it to me like a bribe wrapped in politeness. I didn't touch it. Instead, I walked into the spare room where Harold used to keep the old files. In the back of a drawer, underneath a faded deed and a jar of rusty nails, I found something I hadn't seen in decades. A single sheet of paper, folded 3 times. My husband's handwriting still sharp and stubborn. "Transfer of property requires mutual consent. Clara Whitman retains authority." It was dated, signed, witnessed, and suddenly, my breath didn't feel so thin anymore. I'd been erased, but not completely. They forgot one thing. I was still here, and Harold, bless him, had made sure I stayed. Some people get pushed out with words. Others, like me, get erased in silence. It didn't happen all at once. That's the part people don't tell you. It's never one big fight. It's one dish missing from the cupboard. One chair moved to the shed. One birthday brunch they forgot to invite you to. I came home from the farmer's market and saw the porch swing was gone. The one Harold built the summer David turned 13. When I asked, David shrugged. Oh, it was rusting. I figured we'd replace it with something more modern. More modern. I wonder if that's what he thought about me too. I didn't argue. I just walked upstairs, but the upstairs wasn't mine anymore. My dresser, the maple one with the glass knobs, was missing. Marianne's embroidery from 1982? Gone. The books I'd collected since college? Boxed up. I started keeping a list. Not on my phone. Too easy for them to find. In a little spiral notebook hidden between pages of Little House on the Prairie on the back shelf. Things removed without asking. Framed photo, 1979. Me and Harold, County Fair. Blue quilt, hand-stitched by Mom, 1964. Silver comb, gift from Harold's mother. Every day, something small disappeared. And every night, I'd walk into the rooms I used to clean with pride and find them a little less mine. David started calling the main house the primary residence. He called where I slept the guest quarters. Guest. I built this house with my hands. I raised him under this roof, but now I was a guest in my own life. I didn't yell, didn't beg. I just got quieter. And when they thought I wasn't listening, I heard them talk in whispers in the kitchen. Once she's settled somewhere smaller, Marcy said, we can do the open house before fall. They weren't waiting for me to move. They were waiting for me to give up. But I wasn't done yet, and I wasn't alone. That folded paper in my desk drawer, the one Harold signed all those years ago, that was still real, still binding. They were making plans. So was I. Some moments don't feel like waking up. They feel like remembering who you were before you let yourself get small. I found the old paper again the next morning. Harold's handwriting had faded just enough to look fragile, but his words? Still firm. Still mine. No sale or transfer without Clara Whitman's signature. It wasn't some sentimental note. It was legal. It had been notarized, witnessed, and filed in a year when I still believed David would grow up to be kind. I called Mr. Leland, the attorney Harold trusted. He still had the same number, still answered on the second ring with that dry, cautious voice. Clara? He asked. It's been a while. I didn't explain, just said, I need to talk. By lunch, I was in his dusty office, sipping bitter coffee while he read the document under the glow of a green desk lamp. He didn't say anything for a while, just cleared his throat once. Finally. This is still enforceable. I felt my shoulders drop an inch. If David tries to sell that property without your consent, he continued, he'll hit a wall fast. But you have to act before they finalize anything. They're betting you'll stay quiet. I smiled, but not because I was happy. It was the smile of someone who remembered what it feels like to stop flinching. That night, I sat by the kitchen window, staring at the field where David once ran barefoot, chasing chickens. Now he stood there in a dress shirt, showing an investor where to put the pool house. They had forgotten me, but they had also forgotten how long I've lived here, how many records I kept, how deep my roots went. I didn't need to scream. I just needed to move. The next morning, I opened my laptop and typed 7 words into the search bar. Buy farmland, anonymously using family trust. By nightfall, I had a meeting set. The old Miller property, just across the fence line, had gone up for sale. They thought they were selling me off with the pasture, but I'd already started planting somewhere else. You don't need to announce a return. Sometimes you just show up where they least expect you, calm, steady, and not gone after all. The Miller property closed faster than I imagined. A small house, one barn, and an overgrown lavender patch that hadn't seen care in years. Most folks thought it was worthless, but I didn't need perfect. I just needed space that was mine. I used the trust Harold set up when David was a teenager, the one we never talked about after. Mr. Leland handled it all, discreet and quick. The name on the papers wasn't Clara Whitman. It was a clean LLC, registered out of state. No trail David could follow. The morning the for sale sign came down, David didn't notice. He was too busy arguing with a contractor about septic systems and curb appeal. Meanwhile, I was planting rosemary behind the new porch and writing letters to the zoning board with Mr. Leland's help. We didn't threaten. We simply submitted documentation. Enforceable clause requiring my consent. Proof that I'd never signed anything to remove it. Copies of property plans that didn't match their claims. 3 days later, the buyer pulled out. No explanation. Just cold feet and a broken deposit. David stormed in that night, slamming drawers like a teenager again. "People don't want to deal with drama," he muttered. I stirred soup on the stove and didn't flinch. They didn't suspect me. Why would they? In their minds, I was still the old woman in the guest room. Still out soon, but I wasn't gone. I had just changed rooms. I kept moving things little by little. The silver comb, the wedding photo, the prayer book my mother gave me when Harold deployed. Each item crossed the fence line in silence. Each one settled into drawers I hadn't opened in decades. One afternoon, I rocked quietly on my new porch while Marcy stood in the field on the other side, pointing at a dirt patch and shaking her head. David's voice rose, sharp and panicked. I didn't listen too hard. I was too busy planting lavender. It takes root quietly. But once it does, it stays. There was no apology, no confession, just boxes. Brown, taped shut, stacked on a porch that used to be mine. David didn't tell me they were moving out. I saw it in the way he paced the gravel driveway, phone to his ear, eyes wild. I saw it in the way Marcy shoved half-full totes into the back of the SUV, not bothering to fold the linens. The house sat hollow now. Every curtain open, every wall echoing with their exit. And across the fence, I brewed tea. Lemon balm and peppermint, both from the little garden I'd started weeks ago. From my porch, I watched the wind nudge my wind chimes. Harold had welded those chimes from scrap iron one summer when money was tight. They'd outlived him, and now they'd outlived whatever David thought he was building too. He passed me once while dragging a suitcase. Didn't look up, didn't wave. I didn't call after him. Didn't need to. Some victories aren't loud. They settle like dusk over open fields, undeniable but soft. The week after they left, I got a letter from the county board. The zoning change had been officially withdrawn. My name, they said, was still tied to the land. Mr. Leland dropped by with a bottle of cider and a half smile. "You didn't burn the house down," he said. "You just turned the lights back on." That evening, I walked the edge of the property line. The hydrangeas I planted with Harold were blooming again, as if they'd been waiting for quiet. I didn't win by force. I won by staying, by remembering who I was, by not letting anyone write the ending for me. And now, every morning, the wind carries lavender through the open window. The sun moves slower here, and I am still exactly where I belong. If you've ever felt like someone tried to erase you from your own story, tell me below, not for sympathy, just so the rest of us know we're not alone. And if this story felt like it was written for you, it probably was.